Good morning, afternoon, or evening from wherever you are. My name is Matt Frew. My teammates are Derek Bray, Wendy Nicholson, and Samuel Todd. And our project for the Coursera Innovation course was to create a Coursera group finder. The basic problem that we saw was twofold. One, difficulty finding group members, trying to find similarities between each other with experience, interests, or desires for the class on the forums was really quite a tough task to do and maybe difficult based on the amount of time that you have to search through those forums. Groups forming and disbanding was also another concern that we had. That we ultimately didn't include in our project, but did see it as a problem. We started out by finding 4 concepts, looking for group concept where you could say you had 2 people and you're looking for 2 more. An interest model where you could say what your interests were and try to find another classmates that had the same models or same interests. A random or admin model where a staff member or the professor teaching the course could automatically randomly assign members. And then lastly, an auction model where a team captain could auction on bid against other team captains for other group members based on their particular interests. We ended up choosing to go with the interest model, and we chose to identify people with similar interests and experience based off a questionnaire or a survey that they would take at the beginning of the course. And this would cross-reference the users or the classmates based off a database backend and take in some variable data, basically their time zone, personal weekly commitment, their field of expertise, languages spoken, and access to internet or the webcam. So we could try to match up group members so they could work best together. Some constraints that we had outlined at the very beginning: knowledge and time, the group members, how much time we would have to generate these algorithms, development hours, and how much time we could commit to those. Resources, we tried in the organizational level, finding a low-cost provider to host this application in the end. And then societal constraints. More data points to enter means that users are less likely to use it. So would this end up being used? In the end, our group failed to implement the product or the technology that this innovation that we kind of outlined. And this happened for several reasons. As we went along, we found out that not only does the problem have constraints, but our team members do as well. We had a lot of time constraints. We had team members that left because of various personal work, professional, family commitments that came up throughout the 9-week period. And with a low opportunity cost to get into the class, there's not really much repercussion for somebody to leave. We also found that we didn't have the knowledge, the developers, or access to servers to develop this. Even with 3 members working in IT on our group, we didn't have these specific IT skill sets, which IT is a very dispersed field with a lot of different expertise within it. And as I mentioned before, time, no one has it. We have team members in Brazil and all over the US, and trying to match up times when we all have other commitments is very difficult. Lesson learned from our team: come up with a product that we have the abilities to implement right from the get-go. We all thought that we had this, but in the end we really didn't. Another alternative is have group members who have the funds to hire resources to do so. We didn't have any venture capital, so it's kind of difficult to do this. But perhaps if we were looking to do this professionally, we would look to get some funding sources. Another thing we learned was that we should learn to identify all of our constraints earlier on, and maybe we would have decided that this was not the model we wanted to go down. Lastly, Jerry's final thoughts on this. The group's initial idea is still valid, and this is definitely a major issue with the Coursera platform. Our inability to identify critical constraints early on hampered the implementation, but that doesn't mean that the class or that the product implementation was not indicative of the course results. We all learned a lot from the course and from working together as a group about identifying these constraints earlier on. And lastly, the Coursera platform was a great way for us all to learn some great knowledge and skill sets in our professional careers, and for very, very low cost, and also to network professionally. So Coursera for the win. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation and you can learn something from our failures as well.